and you are more than welcome back to Little Miss Dropstitch. I think we're on part 4 now of kind of my little bloggy vlog of the Northern Lights Norway knitting cruise with Arne and Carlos, okay, that I did last February. So first video was my 8kg wool haul. Second video was tips and tricks for wool shopping in Norway. Last video I started to talk about kind of the journey itself and, you know, things I wouldn't do. And then this one will carry on the story, and I will also reveal kind of would I go on the holiday again. Okay, so Arne and Carlos are Norwegian knitting designers, but they are kind of at the forefront of, you know, they're in knitting magazines, they've books out in the shops, things like that. So yeah, they're a great bunch of guys. Yeah, so where were we? Yes, I'd had chips for my tea, gone back to the hotel. Okay, so the day after, it was very early breakfast. So yeah, I'd not met anyone at this point. I did inadvertently meet a lady called Carol in one of the wool shops, unbeknown to us both that we were both on the holiday. So yeah, I hadn't met anyone up to that point, and the day after we had breakfast, still kind of, you have an inkling like you're probably on the trip. So yeah, breakfast was in the hotel, and then we were all told to meet in the lobby. Okay, and yeah, I was nervous as a, I would call it solo traveller now, not on my own. So yeah, it was solo travelling, and then yeah, you get kind of forcibly chatting, you feel like you're on a date, and it's just, but you know, it has to be done. And there was a lady from, well, she'd moved to the Shetland Islands for retirement, so it was nice to have someone that was also from the UK. It does make a difference. Other nationalities that were there were a lot of people from the US. There were 2 lots of so 4 people from Canada, but one of the guys was originally from Italy. There was a Dutch lady, she was great, and 2 couples from Australia, which is just, I don't know if it's me because I've not been travelling much, but I just think like, wow, you've, you know, come all the way from the other side of the world and we're like stood here together. So yeah, that was great. And then 2 people, including myself, from the UK. Yeah, so it was lovely, and you know, around here it isn't, you know, a city or anything, so there's not many nationalities that are different. So yeah, that was really great for me to meet different people from different parts of the world, and even from the US. You know, you had people from Maine, Arizona, and I had to pretend my US geography wasn't so terrible and that I knew where everyone was from. That was that. Oh, and then the first kind of activity, we was on a day tour of Oslo. Okay, and that took all day. I don't mean that badly. Obviously in the back of my mind I'm thinking, didn't get to another wool shop. I think that was the only thing I wish I'd had more time, and I suppose it's what made me want to go back. By the time I got there, was it 2 p.m? So I had kind of 2 till 5 p.m, whatever, wool shopping, and then the day after was the tour of Oslo. And I mean, it was very comprehensive. It was the full tour. We'd had a lovely, you know, food in that, to a guy called Elsa, which she was just lovely and perfect. She was also a seamstress as well as a day job, and also shout out should go to the lady that was a driver of the coach. So she was a very swish coach, man to say, as well, and brand new and electric. So the driver was originally from Morocco. She teaches, I think it was maths to children, and then she also did this at weekends, just driving this massive coach, and she was in heels and a skirt. It was, yeah, sisters doing it for themselves. She was so cool. I loved her to bits. So yeah, her and Elsa, that was a really good tour and very comprehensive. I had salmon for the first time in my life at the age of 25, at the time I was. Fish soup. Yeah, that was brilliant. And then yeah, comprehensive tour. So I just feel like I didn't get much time, kind of me shopping, wool shopping. So maybe again I would have booked the day before as well to go, and imagine, I don't think I could have had any more holidays left at work. But yeah, more time in Oslo just personally for myself on my own would have been great. And you know, people that also went to the Munch Museum, not the Munch Museum as I thought it was, you know, the screen picture, some people went to that museum. And it also gets quite dark, so for kind of on my own, I like, you know, my own company, being on my own for things, but yeah, I didn't want to spend too much time in the evening out and about. Also met a girl who was serving in a cafe that was from Manchester, so that was great. Yeah, full day Oslo tour. Day after, okay, this was cool, and it was an early start. I think breakfast I was having at like 6 in the morning. Then we went to Bergen. Okay, so I mean, I'm probably doing it backwards here on the camera, but anyway. So Oslo, 6-hour train to Bergen. I've never flown long haul. I went to Cornwall once, and that was about a 6-hour drive. So literally, you can't go any further than the bottom of the country in, 6 hours where I'm from. So yeah, I thought I'm going to struggle here, but no, it was a beautiful train journey. And I mean, snow, and at one point the train doors up, and there was just a husky waiting in the snow. It was amazing. And yet we were all sat together, so I sat next to a lady called Bernadine, and that was great to chat to her. I had seen, if you were to book it yourself, there was first class. Honestly, if I was to book it myself, you wouldn't need it, because the leg room, like my brother's 6'4", and he would have been very happy there. I think because people are taller as well in Norway. Yeah, loads of leg room. It was perfect for spending 6 hours. So I read, I knitted. At some points, because of the, you're moving fast and the snow's coming, like I couldn't look out the window. It was just kind of making my eyes a bit funny, bit snowblind or whatever. So yeah, that was a really good way to see kind of the inside of the country, and it was just, yeah, you felt like you was on, the Orient Express or whatever. It was beautiful. So yeah, that was that. Ended up in Bergen, and then, so then we kind of, we decided to break off into a few of us that were solo travellers. It just kind of happened naturally, because there was a wool shop at the train station, which is, very Norwegian. So there was a coach to take people to the hotel, but we decided to do that, and I went round with some people, and they went to a booze shop, because Arne and Carlos have their own wine. I didn't know that. Yeah, and then, hotel, etc. The day after was a coach trip to around Bergen, again with, lady on the microphone. And highlight was both the Hillsberg factory, to see how the wool is made, and obviously buy a lot of wool if you've seen the previous videos. And also to Oleana. I'd never heard of this. Everyone else on the trip had, but I'd not. And it's machine knitted, and we went to the factory and saw them doing it, and yeah, brilliant. And it's like kind of the designer machine knitwear, and they're very, colourful, and patterns on them. Jackets, skirts, things like that. Very expensive. There was a jumper in the sale at what was 400 quid, and it was lovely, but I taught myself back down to earth. But yeah, some people had decided, that was their treat, or their husbands were buying them, something from the Oleana factory. And did we spend 2 nights? We did 2 nights in Oslo, I think 1 in Bergen. So then after that, it was onto the boat, and I'd never done, big boat cruise, anything like that. So yeah, you kind of have to check in and everything, and that's when we were all in the queue, and Arne and Carlos were there. Obviously they got to skip the queue, but we'll let them. And it was a bit like, oh, okay, just act normal, pretend you're not too excited or interested in them, they're just normal people and all that. And yeah, it was incredible. Then we were on the boat for, I think it was about 11 days, and it was really good because we got a full itinerary and everything like that. And I had booked some excursions, again, my once in a lifetime. They were very expensive. Most of them were about 200 quid, and then other ones were about 80. So in Trondheim, I went fishing, I know, and I was a bit nervous because I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Because there was only like 5 or 6 of us, and I was like the only girl. But no, it was great, and I owned it. And the skipper was a lady as well. And she spoke German, English, Norwegian, brilliant. Other trip I did was, I did a walk. It was in the Arctic region, and that was great. It was like 8 o'clock at night, and it was really snowy, and that was magical. And yeah, kind of talked a bit about the history of the fishing village. I went and saw the reindeers, fed them, ate them. That was really nice, and that was with the traditional Sami people, so we got to learn about their culture, lifestyle, etc. And they liked my hat, so that was good. And I also went to see the huskies, but then also included was to see kind of the ice hotel. and there was something else, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, kind of feeding they just had some reindeers randomly, so feeding the reindeers, and yes, the husky ride, which was lovely. And then you got to stroke the dogs. They did smell of kind of raw meat and wee, I will say that. But yeah, that was nice, and they genuinely did love it, because I was a bit like, is it animal cruelty? But they genuinely were so happy, and you could see it to be, you know, just working, and you know, that's what they're bred for, and that's what they enjoy doing. The only thing I kind of almost regret a bit, a slipper. Arne and Carlos did have kind of a couple of secret special excursions, and I don't want to spoil anything for people, but they did mention it on their Husgliden video that they put up the other week, that they go and see, I think it was in Trondheim, was it, or Tromsø, the people that make the bunad, so the traditional costumes, folk costumes. And I was on a trip that day, and I had put in my emails like, oh, I'd like to book these trips if it clashes with anything. I was told it wasn't. I'm still glad I did the reindeers and huskies, etc. But yeah, it would have been nice to see, you know, and talk to the people that make the bunads. But I probably would have spent money in the wool shop anyway, so good or bad, really. So there was a couple of them. There was 2 lectures by Arne and Carlos. Yeah, the first day evening on the boat started with that. And there was a lecture / pop-up shop from Bergen, from Lofoten wool. Very expensive, but yes, I have got some, and yeah, that was lovely. It was really nice just to get kind of the expert knowledge and things like that. And what I liked about the trip is that every opportunity people were knitting, so they'd set up like a knitting cafe, and the bar, which, you know, Arne and Carlos were in all day, and then but to our tea, our evening meal, people took the knitting just whilst they were waiting for the food, and it was dead casual. And one night I knew the Northern Lights were going to come out, so I wore like my big coat and boots to the meal, and you know, no one cares, it's very casual in Norway, which I like. Yes, did see the Northern Lights a couple of times. It got to the point I was like, oh, these are better than the other night. Yeah, that it was magical, but people big it up and, you know, alter it on the camera, and you have to do certain things with exposure. So that was almost a bit disappointing. In fact, I was, because it's not like the pictures, because they do certain things with exposure. But yeah, still wonderful, and I've seen it. And it was just nice to see stars in the sky, because I remember around here, you know, I'd walk back from my grandma's in the winter, and there'd be stars in the sky, and you could point out, you know, Ryan's Belt and things, and you can't anymore because of, you know, smog pollution. But yeah, it was lovely. You could do that on the boat. It was magical crossing the Arctic officially, and got postcards with like, I've crossed the Arctic Circle stamp on it, that I sent home from the boat. It was a lovely boat. It was Havila Capella. It was nice and small. Hope I'm not rushing too much. I also don't want to bore you. So yeah, basically we went from Oslo to Bergen, all the way up to the Russian border, or Norwegian border as they rebrand it now, and back round. So it was major kind of towns and cities on the way there when it stopped. And then on the way back they were in the night, so it was just the smaller places in the day, which was, yeah, it was difficult kind of then not having much on the way back kind of to do, or at least not to go on land for. Yeah, I found that, because I'm used to kind of staying in my room, but yeah, cabin fever, I understand it now, that's a real thing when you can't just go on land. So yeah, Arne and Carlos, yeah, they were wonderful, because, you know, never meet your idols, that sort of thing. Some people were like trying to hold in, they're in a group, and you could tell, but whatever, just let them do that. And yeah, they were lovely. Both of them lovely. Carlos, very handsome in real life, as he is on telly. And Arne was just adorable. I think they've mentioned before, like, Arne's the chatty one and Carlos is the shy one, which doesn't come across on camera, but in real life you can tell that. And you can tell they love it as well, because I know they're probably getting paid a lot of money for it, but it's not easy, you know. Probably like 18 hours a day or whatever, you know, entertaining people, but they must genuinely love it, because I never felt like they were off with people or anything like that, and they were genuinely interested in what people were knitting. I had a beer with Carlos and tour guide Gita, she was great. And it was quite funny because they said, oh, we went to Manchester once and the girls, it was winter and they had no stockings. You know, they must have been freezing. I'm like, yeah, that's been me in my youth. Very short time in my youth, but it has been me. You just drink enough to not feel the cold. Yes, and Arne's just adorable, and I mean, so talented. We had a little kind of fashion show at the end of things that we'd finished, projects we'd made on the cruise, and Arne was just there, like, you know, garment after garment that he'd made. And they were genuinely interested in other people and people's husbands. You know, you think, oh, would they enjoy the trip? They loved it. There were some fantastic photographers on board, so I didn't need to think about taking pictures. Yeah, and all the husbands loved chatting to Arne and Carlos. There was a night of fine dining as well. That's where I tried loads of things I've never tried before. What else to mention? Arne kissed my cheek when he said goodbye, and he'd not had a shave, so it like cheese grated my cheek, but oh, it felt so warm and fuzzy, and he genuinely meant it. Yeah, that was lovely. What else was I going to mention? Oh, seasickness. Yeah, not pleasant. There were 6-meter waves, so one night it smashed a window on the ship. Like, it was that bad, and I've never, like, I just felt like I want my mum when I was in bed, and because I was on my own. There's a point where it's nice and rock sleep, and then there's a point where, and it's just boring because I don't know if it's a mental thing, like I'm going to feel sick, and I was sick once as well. But it's just boring because you can't read, you can't knit, it's just, and you think it's going to be Titanic 2.0. But no, very good captain, all nice and safe. It never felt dangerous. But yeah, that was that. And then it finished in Bergen, but a lot of us had a night over in hotels. I wish I knew that, because then the boat had organised, you know, coach to the airport, and also for the day after as well, which I had no idea about, so I've made other plans which were a lot more long-winded. I ended up pushing a case up a hill like that, and it's, you know, to the point I was going backwards, like it was difficult and I was sweaty. But yeah, I did some more wool shopping in Bergen, and the day after all our flights were great and successful, thankfully. So yeah, that's a whistle-stop tour of the Arne and Carlos Northern Lights trip. Would I do it again? No. That's not clickbaity. Let me explain it very quickly. Okay, I wouldn't do it again because I don't have the money. Some people like go on all of them, and they're like retired teachers, and I'm like, how much did you get paid as a teacher, like, to be able to do this? So yeah, obviously very expensive and luxury, which was great. I wouldn't do it again because the people were great, and I'd worry that if I went on another trip I wouldn't, you know, gel with them, or there wouldn't be as many solo travellers, so I'd feel a bit odd one out. Yeah, and that sounds a bit strange, but that's the reason I'd be inclined not to do one again. Or at least, you know, I'll have a breather and do some just kind of solo rather than in group. But it was great that everything was thought of, and once I'd spent that money, like, kind of the rest was shopping money, because, you know, meals included. We had the gold package, 2 hours of happy hour, just saying. Arne and Carlos, they're good at drinking. I'd not had a drink for months, and then I did get quite tipsy with Arne and Carlos. And yet they sit with people at the evening meal, and yeah, honestly, as you can see, I think about that holiday every day, and it just makes me smile so much. So yes, I won't bore it, but I hope that's been good information if you're thinking of going on the trip, or maybe the Japan one or something like that, and wanted to know what it was like. So yes, do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Please try and help us out. I wanted to get these travel vlogs done because I am going to Dublin soon to explore there, knitting with my friends, and then Latvia in a couple of months as well. So I need to catch up before I do any more travel. Thank you, take care, bye.